Hey guys, and I am happy to say welcome back to my channel. I know I have been gone for a pretty long time now without uploading a video, and that's because life's got pretty crazy. I'm in the process of moving, hence the hideous background. I'm in a hotel right now. If you hear any background noise, I'm absolutely sorry about that. Today we are going to talk about a case that has impacted all of us in the last couple of months. It is a vicious and senseless murder case. We are going to talk about the murder of 13-year-old Tristyn Bailey. Now, I know I told you guys that the Justin Evans case would be next, and I'm just trying to compact all of the information from that case together and get it together for you guys. There was a little less information in this case, so I thought I'd go ahead and film it, get it up for you guys. That way you guys would have something to watch in the meantime. I should have the Justin Evans case done by the end of the week and have that up for you guys. I also will be doing a case update video, which will update you guys on all the cases that are still pending that we have covered thus far, such as Gannon Stout and the Cal City missing toddlers. Alright, let's get on to our video. Tristyn Bailey was a 13-year-old, vibrant, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, beautiful little girl who lived in the suburbs of St. Johns County, Florida. The neighborhood that Tristyn was from was a low crime, medium to high class community. People had nice houses, nice cars. Your kids and your neighbors generally knew each other, and you were able to let your kids walk down the street or what have you without worrying if they were going to come home that evening. That is until now. Tristyn was in the 7th grade at Patriot Oaks Academy, home of the Chargers in St. John, Florida. This school teaches classes kindergarten to the 8th grade, and it's actually in the top 5 percentile around that area. So it was a very, very good school that Tristyn was attending. Tristyn was also a very determined and very talented cheerleader. She always pushed her teammates to do their best, and they pushed her in the same way. Tristyn's favorite saying was that her team was her family. If you messed with one of them, you messed with all of them. Tristyn actually won the Spirit Award in August at the SJMSAA, hope I got that right, cheerleading camp, and she was very excited to get that award. She had also won a championship just a couple months ago with the cheerleading team that she was on separate from her school. This was the Infinity All-Star cheerleading team. Now, if you don't know what this is, it's more like a dance, cheerleading, and gymnastics team all into one. They travel all across the United States doing competitions. Now, you have to be very, very, very talented to do these competitions and very skilled in gymnastics and dance. So, that just lets us know how talented that Tristyn truly was. My daughter actually done these competitions for quite a few years, and I can tell you they are exhausting. They push you to your brink. You are doing practices 6 times a week. It puts a toll on your body because of all the bending and flipping and flopping and what have you. She is described by her family as someone who loved Starbucks, Gucci belts, and absolutely loved the color aqua. They say that she was a shining star. Tristyn is also described as someone who always had a huge, beautiful smile on her face and who would always fight for the underdog. Her brother actually said that she was not just a sister to him and their other siblings, but she was a sister to all of her teammates. She comes from a very close-knit family who call themselves the Bailey Seven. The family consists of a stay-at-home mom, a father who often works out of town, and she has 4 siblings, 3 older sisters and 1 older brother. So Tristyn is the baby of the family. Tristyn was also an aunt to a beautiful baby niece. She would brag about changing her niece's wet diapers, but she absolutely would not touch a dirty diaper. Now, while at Patriarch's Academy, Tristyn made many friends and acquaintances, one of those being 14-year-old 8th grader Aiden Fucci, son of Crystal Smith and Jason Fucci. Now, I don't want to stray too far from the story, but I want to give you guys a little backstory about Aiden's family, just to kind of show the environment that he grew up in. Information that I did find on Aiden's father, Jason, was that he has a pretty extensive criminal background. January the 1st, 2003, he was charged with child abuse, injury, and neglect, and found guilty in November 17, 2004. He was sentenced to 1 year and 2 months in prison for this act. On October 1st, 2003, he was arrested for engaging in sexual activity with a 15-year-old girl. He was found guilty and sentenced to 2 years probation. Now, he met Crystal Smith and they had Aiden in 2010. He now owns Fucci's Full Package LLC, a landscaping company in Jacksonville, started on August 31st, 2003. In 2016, he was booked for battery. He was accused of getting into a fight at a gas station with a couple while his son was present. Now, as far as Aiden's mother, I really couldn't find any information on her. I'm going to look into that a little further before I put this video out, and if I can, I will add it in. Let's get to the events that happened surrounding this particular case. I want to put a warning in here that some of the crime scene evidence that I'm going to describe is horrific. It may be disturbing to some viewers. If you think this is going to be disturbing or a trigger warning to you, or if you are under the age of 18, please check out another one of my videos that isn't so graphic. On the late evening of Saturday, May 8th, and into the early morning hours of May 9th, Tristyn met with 14-year-old named Aiden Fucci. They met at the Durban Crossing North Amenity Center, which was only a short 5-minute walk from Tristyn's home. Now, we're not sure if she walked there, she was driven there. That hasn't been released yet, but we do know that she was there for a small get-together of friends. The sheriff's office did report that the family last seen Tristyn around midnight. The information I'm getting ready to give you guys, we know this, first of all, because it was released from the sheriff's office, and second, because it was caught on either Ring doorbells or CCTV video footage. So Tristyn and Aiden were caught on CCTV at 1:14 a.m. Tristyn is wearing white shorts, a hoodie, and shoes with a black Nike logo. Aiden is wearing black pants and a black shirt. I just want to remind you that youth murder in general is not just a problem faced by the United States. The World Health Organization released a report last June where they stated that more than 200,000 children between the ages of 10 and 29 are murdered each year globally, and that equates to 40% of every murder that occurs. So let that kind of sink in, and it's terrifying. To me, as a mother, it's terrifying. So Mother's Day morning. I'm sure the Bailey family were getting up like every other morning, maybe fixing mom breakfast. I'm sure there was a lot of Happy Mother's Days, a lot of calls wishing the mother Happy Mother's Day, but only one thing was different. This year, Tristyn would not join her family for Mother's Day. When Tristyn's family went to her room to wake her, Tristyn was nowhere to be found. By 10 a.m. that morning, Tristyn Bailey is reported missing by her family to the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. At 10:59, the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office posted a message on Facebook asking for information regarding the whereabouts of 13-year-old Tristyn Bailey. Now, when this little girl went missing, this community came together quickly. Even though they were a community that was not used to having crime near them, they jumped into action.
A true sign that people are still coming out, even just a few minutes ago, to lay flowers, that they are thinking about her and her family.
She'd always be the first one to give me a hug.
Tanya White helped coach 13-year-old Tristyn Bailey and cheerleading.
We had people helping with flyers. We had people out in their Sunday best looking for Aiden, searching ditches, searching beside the road, searching wooded areas. At 2:28 p.m., the sheriff's office posted a follow-up tweet seeking information on the teen's location. At 4:49 p.m. Sunday, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement activated a child alert for Tristyn, asking the public to contact law enforcement if they had seen or heard from her. Children alerts are generally issued when a child is in or believed to be in a life-threatening situation. Only an hour later, at 6 p.m., a jogger who decided to take a few extra turns, knowing there was a little girl missing in his neighborhood, found the body of a young lady and called St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. The body was located in a wooded area at the south end of a retention pond east of the cul-de-sac on Saddlestone Drive. At 7 p.m. Sunday, the Durbin Crossing neighborhood notifies residents that the community's North Amenity Center will be closed until further notice. At 7:08 p.m., the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office confirms the search for 13-year-old Tristyn has been called off. And at 8 p.m. Sunday, Sheriff Robert Hardwick announces authorities have recovered a body believed to belong to Tristyn Bailey. The sheriff says there's no further danger to the community. Residents of this small neighborhood surrounded this family with love and showed their support to Tristyn. Once they found out that she was missing, everyone went to action, checking their CCTV footage and checking their Ring doorbell footage. And it wasn't very long until police had their prime suspect. Monday, May 10th at 3:33 a.m., after a search of Aiden Fucci's home, officers found clothing with blood matching those that Aiden Fucci was seen wearing on the CCTV footage. He was also arrested because of comments that he made to the sheriff, and his stories jumping all over the place. There was just a whole pile of evidence in this case. And he was booked in at the St. Johns County Jail. 11:45 a.m., Sheriff Robert Hardwick of the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office announced that Aiden Fucci, 14-year-old classmate of Tristyn, had been arrested. Aiden had been charged with second-degree murder in juvenile court.
And thank you for coming on short notice. We appreciate it. We feel like this information is important to get out. We're going to kind of regress a little bit and go backwards and kind of recap a few things from yesterday. We are going to take some questions at the end if we need to clarify a few things. I just want to kind of just backtrack where this incident occurred, when it occurred, and where it occurred. You remember yesterday at 10 hours or 10 o'clock in the morning, we received a call at our 911 communication center from Tristyn Bailey's family reporting Tristyn missing. We immediately went to work at the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office along with the community. And we verified that the last time Tristyn had been seen was last night or on Saturday night, early Sunday morning, just after midnight by her family members. Again, we went to a very extensive search, including our criminal investigation division, and also putting out everything we could think of to our media, putting out pictures of Tristyn, putting out anything we can think of. And again, that community really stepped up and got involved with us here at the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. At about 6 p.m. last night, one of our residents actually, based on the information we were putting out, was actually out looking around his area where he lives and actually discovered what has now been verified as Tristyn Bailey's body in a wooded area. I apologize. Thank you for correcting me. Tristyn Bailey, and I do apologize. Tristyn Bailey's body that was actually located by a person in the neighborhood, a citizen in the neighborhood, and actually called 911, called the sheriff's office. We went out there and actually processed the body and recovered the body. Since then, we actually have arrested a suspect by the name of Aiden Fucci, F-U-C-C-I, 14-year-old. He's currently in custody with the Department of Juvenile Justice, charged with second-degree murder.
There's been talk of possibly a second person involved. Is this definitively one suspect in this case, or was there any other witnesses or people around at this time?
That's a great question, but there's lots of witnesses. Again, we're in the very early stages. We're less than 24 hours into this entire case, a little bit over that as far as when it was actually reported. So that being said, our investigative team is out there interviewing all kinds of witnesses, whether it's indirectly or directly involved in this case. But as I told you before, we have a suspect in custody. That is the only suspect that has to do with the death of Tristyn.
Media play a role. There's a Snapchat of Aiden. It's believed to be Aiden in the back of a squad car with a peace sign up saying, "Where's Tristyn?" Is that something that you guys are aware of?
Sure, absolutely. I will tell you this: our real-time intelligence center really have captured all these videos as much as we can. We monitor it, and unfortunately, with some of these things that are actually maybe you think is detrimental to the case, actually help us in the case, and actually don't actually hurt the case because we're collecting this media. We're collecting this real time. I told you before, it was in a wooded area. She was clothed, as my investigative team will tell you. But as far as what she actually had on and stuff, physically the investigator process with the medical examiner's office is going on as we speak, and we're going to let them finish that process and make sure the family is informed of any findings first. Sure, again, I'm going to just caution all of our listeners out there today that just because it's on social media doesn't mean it's true. Our investigative team is collecting all those leads. At this time, we're not giving a cause of death, but I will actually let Director Cole, if you want to add to that at all, I'll let you add to it.
No, there's nothing to add at this point. The medical examiner is still conducting their investigation, and once that's concluded, we'll share that with the family, and then we'll decide on whether to share it with the media.
I'm going to be honest with you. Her information is more important than his. So I really don't care what he did in the school system, whether it be sports or whether it be music. I'm more worried about Tristyn and her family. So as we get into the the background of the suspect, that will come out later on in the case. I'll tell you this, and I cannot thank our community enough. This is the relationship we have here in St. Johns County with our community. The community helped us solve this case. When I say they went to work, whether it be on social media. I mean, we saw moms and families yesterday walking in the wood line in clothes like church clothes yesterday. This is how passionate they were about solving this case or helping us solve this case. You all were out there last night. I saw you. You saw families lining the roads. I mean, we had an influx of people trying to donate food and people coming from other parts of the county and the state, law enforcement agencies stepping up trying to help us out. This is a community that's very tight. I mean, as you all know, the circumstances are surrounding this, of where everything's kind of at. It's relative to each other. I mean, these kids went to the same school together. This is a very tight-knit community over there. And again, I can't thank our community enough. So between social media and I call it boots on ground, they went to work. And this case was solved because a gentleman saw the information put out there and went to work looking around his immediate area where he lives at. So we can't thank him enough and thank the community enough.
Now, the community was outraged when they heard that this was second-degree murder, and they immediately filed a petition on change.org to persuade the prosecutor to change the second-degree murder to first-degree murder. Now, the prosecutor said that any decision he made would not be based off of this petition, even though it got over 700,000 signatures. Now, when Aiden, this 14-year-old little boy, was placed in the back of the sheriff's car, he had the nerve to take a selfie. And he held up a peace sign. Here's the selfie. With a caption, "Hey guys, has anyone seen Tristyn lately?" and posted this on Snapchat. Now, this is when this Snapchat went viral, and comments about Tristyn and threats against her family went crazy.
Tristyn was so young, as we're saying, just 13 years old, and so is her classmate, 14 years old, who's accused of killing her. Those grieving the developments of the last couple of days since Sunday are also young, and so much of this conversation is happening on social media. So tonight, Staff Jocelyn Howard reports on some of those conversations. They're troubling. They're getting the attention of larger community members and also law enforcement.
The things that I saw that were most concerning were comments celebrating what had happened.
Comments attacking grieving classmates, even Tristyn herself.
Avoid taking the bait. Right, so by taking the bait, by commenting and responding to somebody's inflammatory comment, what you may be doing is reinforcing that behavior.
Youth counselor Stephen Montesino says the comments are alarming. Crime analyst Mark Bachman goes as far to say it could get posters in serious trouble.
They shouldn't be surprised if law enforcement knocks on their door based on what they said.
Bachman says the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office has a task force dedicated to social media, analyzing posts that can relate to the Tristyn Bailey case.
What we're looking for is anything negative they may have to follow up on that could lead to some type of criminal action.
Well, we want to thank Mark Bachman for that report, but also we want to point out something else. Over the past couple of days, a number of social media accounts have been making inflammatory and just downright vile posts about this case. They're intimidating Tristyn's friends and her loved ones, and deputies say they have ruled out any link between those accounts and the murder, and they want you to know that. The sheriff's office actually named the 5 accounts in a post online, saying those tips have been flooding their office. The St. John Sheriff says that those leads have now been cleared.
You had kids talking about killing people so they could go viral. It's just been absolutely disgusting. Let's just move on. Tuesday, May the 11th, about 8:30 a.m., Aiden appeared in, now I hope I'm getting this right, Volusia County Regional Detention Center, where he faced Judge Michael Orfinger. The purpose of this hearing was to see if there was probable cause for the judge to believe that an act of delinquency occurred and that Aiden was the person who committed the act. I was actually pretty shocked seeing that this was a minor and this was in juvenile court, that this case was aired, but it was. So let's go ahead and take a look at Aiden making his first court appearance.
15-year-old Aiden Fucci is locked up right behind us here at the Volusia County Department of Juvenile Justice Center. It's a regional spot where they hold teens accused of crimes. Right now, he is facing one charge, second-degree murder. That could be upgraded. We're also waiting to find out if prosecutors are going to charge him as an adult.
I have reviewed the arrest report. Mr. Snober, do you have any comments on probable cause?
No, sir.
Okay. I do find that there is probable cause to believe that the offense occurred. And at this time, I'm going to order that Mr. Fucci be detained by the Department of Juvenile Justice in secure detention for 21 days or until further order of the court.
So after this court appearance, Aiden's family attorney actually brought forth a motion to withdraw as Aiden's legal counsel. Each of his parents submitted an application for indigency status, which means that they cannot afford a lawyer for Aiden and they want a public defender to be appointed, and they were granted this status. Now, Aiden has a whole team of lawyers fighting for him, but the lead defense attorney for Aiden is Josh Mosley. Police searched this pond to find the murder weapon that killed Tristyn, and they also worked on processing all the evidence super fast. On Thursday, May 27th, Aiden was formally charged with first-degree premeditated murder, a capital felony with a maximum penalty of life imprisonment with no possibility of parole. But is that true? I mean, is there really no possibility of parole for Aiden? Because the answer is no, it's not true. A Florida law actually makes it to where when a juvenile is sentenced to life in prison after 25 years, his case is to be reviewed by a judge. That judge determines if that child is still a threat to society. So Aiden will spend a minimum of 40 years in prison. So he will be 54 years old before he could ever possibly be released. Now, a YouTuber, Profiling Evil, done an absolutely amazing job digging into this case and kind of explaining everything for us. So go check him out. He explains the law that could let Aiden out in 40 years. So let's go ahead and take a look at the press conference where they announced that Aiden would be charged for first-degree murder. And they told us a little bit more about what actually happened during those couple of hours that Tristyn and Aiden had disappeared into the woods.
To say that it was horrific could arguably be made as an understatement. The medical examiner completed an autopsy on our victim and identified confidently that there were 114 stab wounds. 114. At least 49 of those stab wounds were to the hands, arms, and the head, and were defensive in nature. The bottom line is that premeditation could be inferred, certainly, from just the sheer number of stab wounds that Tristyn Bailey had to suffer. Today, the St. Johns County Grand Jury convened and issued an indictment against Aiden Fucci for first-degree murder. Aiden Fucci will be tried as an adult in St. Johns County for first-degree murder. Now, Aiden was initially charged with second-degree murder. The indictment is for first-degree premeditated murder. Now, some folks have asked us why, or wanted to know why we would charge premeditated murder, and also why we would choose to seek adult sanctions on Aiden, who is a 14-year-old boy. Well, we're going to talk about both of those together to give you an idea of why the decision was made to charge him as an adult, and why we believe first-degree premeditated murder is the appropriate charge. I think both of those intertwine and will explain why we did what we did. First off, I want to tell you, it brings me no pleasure to be charging a 14-year-old as an adult with first-degree murder. But I can tell you also that the executive team and I reviewed all the facts, all the circumstances, the applicable law, and it was not a difficult decision to make that he should be charged as an adult. It's a sad decision and a sad state of affairs, but it was clear to us after we looked at what happened that it was not only appropriate to charge the defendant as an adult, but it was really the only choice that we could make. Bottom line is that premeditation could be inferred, certainly, from just the sheer number of stab wounds that Tristyn Bailey had to suffer. Every time that arm went back, and every time that arm went down, that was premeditation. And it happened, if you times 114 by 2, that's 228. But it's not just the fact that she was stabbed 14 times, or 114 times. It's also information that we were able to glean from witnesses. The defendant made statements to several people that he intended to kill someone. He didn't say who that was, but he indicated to witnesses that he was going to kill someone by taking them in the woods and stabbing them, which are certainly the facts of this case. The defendant had a knife that he carried with him. A knife was found in the pond, very close in proximity to our victim's body. That knife had a tip that was broken off. That tip was located by the medical examiner in the scalp of our victim. The statements that the defendant made to his friends made it clear that he was considering a homicide. And I got to tell you this, it's disturbing and concerning that those statements were not, let's say, adequately or appropriately, or not taken seriously by the folks that heard them. Additionally, the family has been receiving or has been made aware of comments on social media and threats. I want to tell y'all something. Law enforcement and the state attorney's office will be investigating any and all threats on social media for possible criminal charges. And I want folks to know the family needs your help. They need your support. If you can't give them that, then you should keep your mouth shut. And you shouldn't be using social media as a platform to exploit this terrible and horrific crime that we are now prosecuting. We should all be sad about what happened, and we should all be prepared to stand up and stand with the Bailey family as we work our way through this process. Because I'm telling you folks, the criminal justice process is not friendly to victims and their families. It is a difficult process to go through, and the Bailey family is going to be going through it for years. So please keep that in mind. You folks out there who want to support the Bailey family, please do. Those of you who don't, be careful. Be careful about what you say and do.
The Bailey 7 released a short statement just after the press conference. And it stated, "We appreciate today's outcome. It is directly the result of the thorough and comprehensive work from the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office, along with the 7th District State's Attorney Office, as part of the initial step to bring justice for Tristyn's murder." Signed, the Bailey 7. Aiden is being held without bond, and on Friday, June 4th, Aiden Fucci's attorney entered a written plea on Aiden's behalf of not guilty. Now, he was originally set to be arraigned on June the 10th, but because of this not guilty plea being entered, that has been postponed. We will now have a preliminary hearing that will be scheduled on July the 8th. And of course, I will be keeping you guys updated on this case as it unfolds. We know that once that Aiden and Tristyn went into the woods, there was either an altercation or maybe he surprised her. We haven't been given that many details yet, but we do know that this 14-year-old boy stabbed this beautiful 13-year-old little girl who never done anything to anyone 114 times. And that out of that 114 times, there was 49 stab wounds that were defensive. So this little girl fought like hell for her life. And from all the stories that I've heard about who she was and the kind of personality she had, there's no doubt in my mind that she put up a hell of a fight. Now, guys, if you understand, the stabbing someone 114 times takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot out of someone. And so the prosecutor's saying that every time that Aiden brought the knife back and took it forward, that was premeditated murder, because he could have stopped himself each of those times. So there's 238 times that Aiden premeditated this murder. Not to mention the fact that he had told people that, and you know, it's sad that it wasn't taken seriously, because if a 14-year-old kid come up to me and said, "Hey, I'm going to go take somebody in the woods and stab them to death," you know, I'm gonna let somebody know that something's wrong with this kid and he may need to go to a hospital and be evaluated or what have you. But that's not what was done here. Aiden had told people that he was going to go and kill someone, and no one took him seriously. On May the 18th, 2021, Tristyn's friends and family gathered in a celebration of life for Tristyn. The celebration was also live streamed due to the overwhelming response for supporters. So let's take a look at Tristyn's celebration for life.
Fellow teammates of Tristyn Bailey showed up to her celebration of life, wearing their cheer uniforms, representing the sport the 13-year-old loved.
Tristyn was a shining light and a saving grace for her friends.
These are Tristyn's cheer moms. Tristyn was best friends and teammates with their daughters.
I'm so thankful that Tristyn made a huge mark on my life and the life of my family, and especially my daughter Gia.
In a room full of hundreds of people wearing Tristyn's favorite colors, aqua and white, Tristyn's coaches at Infinity All-Stars spoke about the fierce competitor who worked hard to achieve her goals.
She was always so willing to help out her cheer family and her cheer sisters. I truly think this speaks volumes about her selfless mentality. She was the type of athlete you absolutely loved to coach. Any challenge you gave her, she accepted with a polite and positive attitude.
The coaches say it hasn't been easy without Tristyn in the...
As for our superstar, one in a trillion queen, no good deed goes unseen, especially for Tristyn. She made sure all of her good deeds were well seen and well heard. For example, taking the dog out to a walk to the backyard. Doing a dish, just one. Or her favorite, changing a wet diaper, because we all know that child would not touch a dirty one. Tristyn always made her presence well known. That's why she shines so bright in cheer and rounded up some of the best of friends a girl could hope for, some of which were closer to our parents' age than her own. Tristyn had a laugh that was absolutely contagious and the most beautiful smile I've ever seen. She knew how to light up a room, usually with her fresh new TikTok moves or her rap-influenced lyrics that were probably inappropriate. When I found out I was pregnant, I remember feeling scared to share the news with my family, but never was I fearful of being a mom. I have Tristyn to thank for that. My mom, having our Singaporean sibling when I was 16 years old, guided me into motherhood seamlessly. I was there for Tristyn's birth, as well as the birth of the placenta that my dad did not prepare me for. I was there to help her crawl, watch her take her first steps, hear this awful high-pitched squeal that was so unnecessary. But again, even at 2, she didn't go unseen. Sing a handwritten song that went something along the lines of "Stormy, come home tonight" on her pink ukulele. Braid her unicorn hair and always surprise her with a new outfit when I would go out shopping for myself. My absolute favorite, though, was when I would ask out loud to anybody, "Do you want to?" And before I had even finished my sentence, the girl already had her shoes on, walking out the door, asking if we could stop at Starbucks on the way. She could care less where she was going as long as she had her double chocolate chip frappuccino, or her newest favorite, which was shocking to me, was an iced caramel coffee that came out black and she drank it. I was shocked. Tristyn was my little Minnie. She was our family's baby, our idol, the one we deep down wish we could be like. Our similarities created some of the strongest memories and tightest bonds, but also some of the most catastrophic fights. I mean, we're talking about the two of us going at it with each other over the exact same thing, and usually it was a terrible attitude towards one another. But that was just it. We were so similar, we got over things the same way. We could always just start over. She always would defend the underdog, regardless if she was friends with them or not. Tristyn, I love you more than words can express. And as for our favorite movie that we watch on the daily, I feel, I can't wait for the day when I get to see you again. Till then, we will be down here cheering you on while you're above freaking out over the millions of admirers you have gained. My girl, you have gone viral. And we cannot wait to do big things in honor of your name. You deserve it, and so much more. Forever and always, Tree.
Siblings are the people that teach us about life. They teach us what it means to be kind and caring, to be fair, and to know we will not always be right. They teach us about teamwork, conflict resolution, and most importantly, they teach us what it is to love and be loved. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Alexis. I'm Tristyn's second oldest sister. If Tristyn was asked to describe me, she would tell you I'm the hoarder of animals, or I'm the breeder of the naked cats. She would then go on to tell you every single animal I have ever owned, all of her favorites, and the ones she doesn't like too much. She would also tell you about her kitten named Pino. See, last summer when COVID hit, Tristyn came to stay with me and help nurse baby Pino back to health after he injured his eye. Little did she know when she agreed to this, she would be entering into what we've affectionately named Bailey Boot Camp. See, we have the most amazing parents in the world, and growing up, we had our mom home full-time with us, and all of the housework, all of the laundry, my mom took care of. So once Tristyn was officially in the house, I sat her down and I said, listen, Tree, I'm not your mom. You're gonna help maintain this house with me. Again, there's a lot of animals there. So we set to work on learning how to do laundry, dishes, vacuum, mop, scoop litter boxes, and train my new Great Dane puppy, Snitch. Spoiler alert, Tristyn never figured out how to vacuum. Yet every day as I would walk through the door, Tristyn would greet me and tell me exactly what she accomplished that day and what she needed help figuring out. Afterwards, we would cook dinner together, sit down to watch Grey's Anatomy, and awe over me. Then she would go to bed with me every night and would insist on coodling me. Not cuddling, coodling, you have to get the terminology right with Tristyn. When I tell you, I would wake up every single day with Tristyn sprawled out on top of me and her retainer in my hair a few too many times to remember. After a few weeks, my mom was calling me, begging for Tristyn to return home. I may have instead offered to return my brother, who flunked out of Bailey Boot Camp. And unfortunately, my mom turned down that offer several times. She just wanted her daughter back. But as summer finally drew to a close and Tristyn did go home, I would get phone calls from my mom, and she would tell me how Tristyn would insist on doing laundry all by herself, cleaning her own room, and tidying up after herself. She was amazed, but she did make the point I needed to tell Tristyn she couldn't just do her own 3 shirts, and she needed to throw in other people's laundry as well.
I try to figure out the right words and write a speech for this. However, as time kept moving on, I realized that there were no right words to say. I just want to explain how important my sister was and how much I love her. While Tristyn may have been my little sister, in many ways she was more grown up than me, as in she had a much better sense of style, and I will probably never possess as much style as she has. She also had a lot more confidence than I had, and many times I would force her to order my food at restaurants because there's no way I could do that. And there's even times where I would convince her to do the craziest of stuff, and it would mortify my mother. Tristyn and I had the ability to drive our parents up the wall with our never-ending bickering. One of these times is when my father would be away on business trips and we would fight over who got to sleep in the middle next to my mom. I never really cared. I just liked annoying her. She did, however, end up winning 95% of the time. And that's really all I have. I'm real bad at speeches.
You see, in high school, I, got pretty involved, and, made sure that when I left for college, I left some shoes for Sophia and Tristyn to fill. And I gotta say, right now, Tristyn's probably looking at me thinking, yeah, you're my brother. Because, Sophia, there were a couple times where I know she got the, oh, you're Tegan's sister. I think Tristyn got a handful of times, but not as often. Right now, I am Tristyn's brother, and that is something that I am proud of. While Tristyn was the baby of the Bailey 7, I thought that she didn't have any younger siblings. She only had older siblings. But something I've learned over the past several days is that is horribly incorrect. Going to multiple of the events that the cheer community has put on, listening to the retellings of the tea tellings, Tristyn had an incredible amount of younger sisters in the cheer community.
And this morning, I went into Tristyn's room and I went there to Koodle because that's what she always asked. And I just wanted to try to be close to her and be next to her. My heart is broken and it is devastated. But I made a promise to her today that I was going to keep her memory alive. I was going to make her name shine above all the evil that has happened and from the goodness that has poured out from her friends, our families, our community, and across the world. I make that promise that I will do something good in her name.
There's been a lot of words said, Tristyn described in a lot of ways, a lot of stories shared, and I've realized that I actually enjoy keeping the Tristyn that I know close to me and keeping those memories close to me. I will share a few. And one of them I've shared before, and it just struck me as everybody was talking about her determination and her drive and things like that. When she first started in cheer, and she was at Zone and she was working, and she had a coach that was challenging her, and it was tough and it was hard. And I remember talking to her, and I love those rides home from gym, and there's nothing better than when it's just you and your child in the car and you can talk, right? And talked to her, and I said, well, what do you think the motivation of the coach is? Why do you think she's doing this? What are your common goals? And we talked about it. The coach wanted her to be better. And we said each and every day she was going to turn around and she was going to go to that coach and she's going to say, thank you for believing in me. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for making me better. And Mel, thank you for being that coach.
Now, yesterday, as I was researching for this case, I actually found out that Saturday, June the 5th, which was yesterday, 35-year-old Crystal Lane, Aiden's mother, was arrested in connection to this case. It was said that she had tried to wash blood out of Aiden's jeans after he had murdered Tristyn. She was booked in St. Johns County Jail at 11:58 a.m. on the charge of tampering with evidence, which is a third-degree felony in Florida, and released on a $25,000 bond at 1:40 p.m. We also have the matter of all of the threats and the nonsense going on social media. And a lot of it's trolls, a lot of it's kids who think, I guess it makes them look big, but it's quite disgusting. And I don't think they understand the repercussions of their words and how bad they can hurt or how much trouble they could get them into. Because the sheriff's office is looking at each and every tweet, Snapchat, comment, what have you. And those that deem it will be prosecuted as far as they can take it. So I'm warning you people right now who are doing this awful, awful stuff and saying these awful things about this 13-year-old child to stop. This family needs our support. This family needs our love, our prayers, our thoughts. They do not need people making things worse. They do not need people trying to tarnish the name of their 13-year-old daughter, whose life was taken for nonsense. There was no reason for this child to lose her life. I don't even think there was even had any motive other than the fact that he wanted to kill. So to say that this child deserved it, or to say that she was this or she was that, is disgusting and deserves to get your asses put behind bars or in juvie. And I hope then that you'll learn your lesson about being behind these keyboards and hiding and saying these disgusting, awful things about people. Now, guys, I will keep you updated about the case, but that's all that we have up until today. I do want to take the time really quick to go over the facts that we know on this case so that we can put any speculations to rest. Aiden Fucci acted alone. Fact. Aiden Fucci told witnesses he planned to murder someone prior to the attack on Tristyn. Fact. Autopsy found 114 stab wounds. Fact. 49 stab wounds were defensive wounds. Fact. Aiden Fucci's mother, Crystal, arrested for tampering with evidence. Fact. As of now, no answer if SA occurred or not. Fact. Tristyn was found fully clothed. Fact. Aiden Fucci tried as an adult for first-degree murder. Fact. Please, let's make sure that we keep Tristyn's family in our thoughts and prayers. As the prosecutor said, this was a senseless act, and that so not just one family, but two families are now destroyed because of this senseless act. And one family will never be able to hug or kiss or coodle, as Tristyn liked to call it. It wasn't cuddle, it was a coodle. She loved to cuddle her family, and they'll never get to do that again. Tristyn's mother said that she had just took the day of the celebration of life before and went into Tristyn's room and laid in her bed to coodle, and that she just cried. But she promised Tristyn that something good would be done in her name. And her sisters and brothers say that her name will not be tarnished, and I agree. Fly high, Tristyn. Until next time, guys, always remember, love yourselves, love others, and as always, I love you.